everybody, welcome in, pull up a seat. Thank you so much for tuning in for this video. I'm so glad you enjoyed my first installment of this kind of series, which is basically 5 quick reviews kept to about the 10-minute mark total. The first one I did, the focus was just new products in general, and this one I thought I would dedicate especially to drugstore products. So here is the first thing. This is from Milani, and it's called the Luminoso Glow palette. And Luminoso is one of their blushes that is super duper popular. I actually have it right over here. And I feel like what's going on in this palette is kind of being inspired by the overall tone of this blush, which is kind of peachy, a little bit gently glowy. It leaves a really natural radiance on the skin. And here they've really kicked it up a notch. I don't feel like there's any one of these shades that is exactly Luminoso blush, if that's what you're looking for. This shade is probably as close as it comes right here, that little sliver, but it's kind of like an even brighter, pinkier, more coral take, a more neutral take, and then a couple of highlights that end up right down here in the middle. Now, some people may look at this palette and think, I literally don't think I can fit my brush into these slivers of product. Like, how am I going to get what's in there? To me, I think it's less important that you hit an exact shade because there is such a gentle gradient here. I think if you get to the general area, you're going to be happy. Now, for today's look, doing a little mini tutorial, I tried to be somewhat exact because I did want you to see exactly what that particular shade looks like on my cheeks. So I kind of went over to this more pinky coral side and I started applying one of the shades as my blush, and I thought it was really pretty. I mean, it's glowy. Every shade in here is glowy. And you know I love a glowy blush, so this really does speak to me, but I feel like there is still enough color infused that I get a pop on the cheeks. And then I thought I'd deepen it up a hair and go over to the more bronzy side. The top shade has what seems to be a very microfine sparkle, but I can tell you it does not really like lay down with the product big time on the skin. I don't really see it actually, but I do get to take advantage of that rosy bronze pigmentation. I think that really looks great on the skin. And then you've got kind of highlights down here in the middle, one side verging off more toward golden, one a little bit more pink. You can see the pinky side being applied, and it's just a really nice brightening product on the skin. One little concern I do have though is as you are using up the product, I feel like people are going to use it up more in the wider parts, and then hopefully if people are using this to pieces, they're not left with unusable product up in here. I still think a brush would kind of attract it and pick it up. And again, the whole thing is going to be glowy. It's not like, oh, I want to avoid the matte shade or I want to avoid the shimmery shade, so I need to stick to this little one. I think you can kind of get in a general zone over here with blushes or these highlights, and you don't need to feel like you must be quite so pinpointed with it because everything's glowy. It's just a matter of do you want to be a little bit more pinky with it or a little more bronze. And I think this is something that may be going with me on vacation. It's just 100% the kind of look I'm going for these days with the glowy blushes. And I think this palette did take some beautiful inspiration from the Luminoso blush. Let's talk brows. I alluded to the fact in a recent video that I had been trying this Maybelline Tattoo Studio in the shade Ash Brown, and I really, really like this. This may be taking over as like a new favorite brow product. I absolutely love the texture of this. I really love the tone as well. It is like the perfect cool brown, and it comes with this double-ended brush that's like an angled brush and a spoolie. And I feel like there is a little finesse needed with pretty much any brow pomade you use. You know, you're taking something creamy, you're trying to make it look natural in your brows. I think the process of getting some applied with your brush, flipping back to the spoolie and back again, really helps the stuff look even and natural. But I think it tends to have a little hold to it also. It's a little bit thicker formula, a slight bit drier formula compared to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow, which I've been also trying recently. And that's a good product, but I feel like this wears even better and it's more approachable to use. Like, it's easier to get a little on your brush, not feel like you've overloaded, overgooped your brows, and you actually end up with a little hold. I still end up using a little brow gel on top, but ultimately when I'm done and I feel like this stuff is kind of set, I do feel pretty secure with it. Again, staying power is great. I don't notice this smearing or smudging off. I actually hooked my mom up with one of the blonde tones. I'll have to ask her exactly what the color is because it turned out to look like just deep enough that we've noticed a couple of different blonde products she was using definitely verging on too reddish and too warm, and this looked so natural. And just a little tip, as you may have noticed with my demo there, I like to start in the middle of my brows because that's where my brow hair is the thickest. So I feel like, okay, brush has been freshly loaded up, it can handle starting there, and then as I work inward, I've got a little less on there and the look is a little less intense. And then I can add a slight bit more to finish off the tail, but like I just find the texture of this to be super easy, and again, great wear time also. Another thing I want to talk about from Maybelline is this City Mini palette. It's an all matte palette in the shade High Rise Sunset, and I'm not really sure exactly how long this has been around. I know they had another fully matte palette in the City Mini style that wasn't, you know, quite this warm, and I really had loved that. And this thing is dynamite. I love the textures of these mattes. The colors are just really rich and definitely able to deliver on like what you see is what you get. And the blending is like freaking effortless, you know? You get the smoothest, most wonderful warm look, this fun like honey mustard color to play with in here. I love the burgundy. So I'll take you through a little demo. I ended up using all 6 shades, but I took this really warm brown and just got my crease going with that. It was so easy. These shadows have kind of a spread across the skin that's really interesting. And then I kind of went up above that with a little bit of yellow just to add a little something different there. And then I used the light cream color to highlight right under my brow. And then I just took to my lid with the yellow and patted that on, and it's not that easy for yellows to have this much intensity. Like, I'm so pleased with it. It's not classic like hot dog mustard yellow, it's more of a honey mustard yellow. I knew I was gonna love this, but I love when that burgundy comes in and does a little bit of overlapping, a little bit of outer corner. I just think that is stunning. I love the way it comes together, and it was just like every shade meshed so easily. That's kind of the magical thing about working with all one texture when it's really the right texture of matte, right? Everything looks so blended. And then I just took this other brown and I blended that gently on my lower lash line with a pencil brush. And I feel so summery, but I feel like I took a fun spin on the classic neutral. And you could leave out the yellow. If you're not quite ready for yellow, you know, imagine letting that shade go. And then how basic and easy is everything else. But I really, really love that. Again, I think they have 1 or maybe 2 other fully matte options that aren't quite as warm as this, in case this isn't your ideal color scheme, but they're very nice to work with. Next up, I got a new liner pen. This is Rimmel's Scandalize Precision Micro Eyeliner, and this says up to 24-hour wear. I do feel like the staying power is really one of the strengths of this product. It has a very super fine tip. If you really work right off that tip, you will get a very fine line. If you try to lay it down a bit more sideways, you don't have a lot of length to your tip, so that's a little harder to do, but you can thicken up your line with a little more pressure. I feel like it's a very intense black. I think it can draw intensely over most any texture of shadow you might be working with. It dries down matte. It's easy to create a wing. Again, given the shortness of this tip, I almost wish it extended out just a little bit further because I think it would make it a bit more user-friendly. I don't like this quite as well as the Revolution Renaissance Flick, just because I've really gotten attached to the thickness of that pen and how easy it is to hold. And the length of the tip just gives you a little more flexibility in the way you can get away with holding it. Just throwing that out there, there are a lot of cases where you try a black liquid liner and it's like it took 2 swipes over the skin because it was just too weak, almost watery, just a little watered down black. This is a very intense black and I like that. I just don't think it's as easy to use as the Revolution. We're gonna wrap this video up on kind of a surprising note. I think I tried the first Revlon mascara I have ever liked. Y'all, I've been using drugstore makeup for a long, long time, and Revlon mascaras just do not get along with me very well, but this is So Fierce, this is new, and I do actually like it. It came in PR, I thought, okay, let's give this a shot. It came with some new eyeliners that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet. There's quite a few shades, but we're talking a rubber bristle brush that is a little bit tapered toward the tip, and I was immediately impressed with how this builds length quickly, and it builds on itself very well for volume or thickness, the look of thick lashes. I feel like I wear it all day and it doesn't flake off, and I also don't feel like it's a big pain in the butt to remove at the end of the day. The one flaw in this product is that I do feel like it kind of drops my curl a little bit, but I am aware curl holding is not a huge issue for everyone out there. Products that don't mess with my curl as much from the drugstore would probably be CoverGirl Supersizer or L'Oreal Lash Paradise. This one, yeah, maybe it's a little weighty on the lashes, maybe with a little bit longer use. I've only been using this for just over a week now. Maybe a couple weeks in, I won't feel like it's weighing down the lashes quite as much, but it's doing better by far than pretty much any Revlon mascara I can remember using. So ultimately in this video, what are the big winners? I would say 3 out of the 5 things I really, really like. I think this Milani palette is absolutely beautiful. I think they tried to be really fancy creating this gradient of shades. I know they're trying to capture some people with this design, and I don't think it's going to be the most practical when it comes to using up what's in these corners, but I still think the product inside is soft and beautiful, and I love the color range. Love the City Mini palette. I mean, those mattes, if you are new to eyeshadow at all, like, I think these are so easy to work with. And then the Tattoo Studio was just bomb. This is like a brow product I'm kind of wanting to reach for all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this review was helpful. Let me know your requests for any other themes you want to see worked into the bite-size review format. I'd love to hear, and have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.